All right, all right. Good evening, everyone. This is Danye, and welcome to this evening's training, or if you are listening to this recording during the morning or the afternoon, well, good morning, greet your day. I hope you are excited, and I'm just excited because this is my first ever audio style training. So instead of doing a video, today is audio, so more podcast style. So please comment below. Actually, I don't know where you will comment for this. Comment in the Facebook group and let me know your thoughts on how you like this kind of audio podcast style training versus the normal video training. If we like it more, then we'll do more trainings like this. I know this is probably going to be really great for those of you who need something else to do when you're maybe driving somewhere and you can't watch the video, or maybe you're at the gym and you need something to do during cardio or just listen to instead of music during your workouts. So hopefully this will be a good option for you guys. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on that. Towards the end, I'll remind you at the end to do that as well. But I hope you all are having a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening. And today, the main topic is going to be how to identify your body type. So the somatotype system. So many of you probably recognize that even just within our confined exclusive group, we have a bunch of different types of people and a bunch of different types of body types. So how does this affect us? How does your body type affect you? A lot of people, you'll hear them say things like, oh, I'm genetically big boned, or I'm genetically predispositioned to, gaining a lot of weight, or you'll see somebody who's a bodybuilder in the gym, you'll say, oh, they just have good genetics. You know what? Maybe they do, but if you understand your own genetics and maybe what you're predisposed to, then you can better understand how to tailor your nutrition and workouts to get the best results for your body. Because you know what? You can't change the body that you have. You can't change the genetics that you have. So guess what? We all need to better understand our personal genetics so that we can create the best results for our body. Because somebody else's program that is designed for somebody else, that has worked wonders for somebody else, is not going to give us the same result that it's given somebody else. So the better you understand yourself as an individual, the better you are going to achieve success for your personal goals. So let's jump into it. I'm going to tell you guys to pause at certain points in time to either take notes or write something down kind of before I give you the information. That way you can see how much knowledge you already have versus how much you're actually going to learn and what you do learn from this and what is most helpful for you. So at this point, I want you guys to either pause this or take a moment to write down what type of body and body style you think you have, what type of genetic traits you think you have. So for example, if I was going to write down mine, I would write down, I feel like I have an athletic body type, and I do very well when it comes to losing weight and losing it rather quickly, and losing fat to be more precise, because I do a lot of weightlifting and I have been through several dieting phases in my life, and I have seen great success with the type of nutrition and dieting that I've done. It has been very simple for me compared to other bodybuilding competitors that I have seen. Now, I also recognize that I have quite a few athletic people in my family. My parents were athletic growing up, and they still have fairly lean physiques. However, I do notice that there are some people in my family, aunts and uncles, that have not taken good care of their bodies. And while they have more athletic, or I guess leaner, smaller upper bodies and legs, they don't watch what they eat, and for them, they gain a lot of weight in their midsection. So I do recognize, and actually I recognize this in myself too, if I go through a period of time where I don't watch what I'm eating and I eat maybe higher fat, higher carb, and lower protein, as opposed to my normal high protein, low carb, or moderate carb, low fat, I will gain weight around my midsection. And I noticed this a lot actually it was not high school. It was probably my freshman and my sophomore year of college. I gained like the freshman 20 to 30, and I ended up being about 140 to 145 pounds And, I didn't realize that I had gained that much weight until I was at Disney. No, it was after we had a family vacation to Disney, and maybe I was 20 or 21, and I looked at photos later on and just realized how much weight I had gained. You just don't realize it day by day, but I had gained it in my midsection and in my chest area. So it's just interesting that, thinking about other people in your family and who else maybe looks differently because of the way that they eat or because of the way that they train. Anyway, take a moment. Hopefully that wasn't too much rambling, but write down what you feel like you are predispositioned to as far as your body type goes. All right, welcome back. Hopefully you've had a few minutes. Hopefully you paused this and now you're back. So we're going to talk about the 3 basic body types, and I want you to compare what we talk about to your original notes and see how they differ and see how they are similar. So the first body type that we're going to talk about, and when I talk about these different somatotypes, we're going to talk about how it goes beyond the external structure. So this is considering your body fat, your lean mass, metabolic traits, different behavioral tendencies, and just your own person's tendency towards weight and body composition change. So the first type that we're going to talk about is called an endomorph. Endomorphs are larger, fatter types, and I'm not calling anybody out. This is not singling anybody out. This is simply a definition of endomorph. Endomorph. So larger, fatter types, they have a soft roundness, and it's often very difficult to lose body fat for an endomorph. The second type is a mesomorph. Usually these are more muscular types. They are lean, hard meaning hard muscled, and naturally athletic, and they gain muscle with ease. The third type is an ectomorph, and those are the lean, skinny types. They are thin and bony with fast metabolisms and extremely low body fat. A pure body type is rare, and it's often more common that you'll see that somebody has a combination of these 3 body types. So for example, someone who gains muscle easily, but also has a tendency to gain fat along with the muscle is an endomorphic mesomorph. So endomeso. This body type is typical of maybe football linemen, heavyweight wrestlers, and power lifters. So they're going to have a lot of muscle, but it's often covered with a layer of fat. I know just from watching like different folks' YouTube videos is you'll often see like really big folks in the gym that can push up a lot of weight. And you're like, how on earth do they do that? Like if you saw them walking around on the street, you wouldn't think that they would be able to lift a lot of weight. Or maybe looking at their diet, you wouldn't think that they have it quite as well together as they may have that. So that's one combination. Another combination is the ectomorphic mesomorph, or ectomeso. This person is lean and linear with moderate amounts of muscle. So maybe a lot of basketball players are often ectomeso body types. Think of someone like Michael Jordan, or I don't know, I don't keep up with basketball, so I can't really give you many other examples other than Michael Jordan. Let's see. So it's just, these are general guidelines, y'all. It's not that you have to be all in one category or all in another. You may find that you're a combination of all 3 in different areas. So just understanding the different types is going to help you better use the knowledge about each type to better your own self. So I want to go through different characteristics and tendencies for each of those 3 body types. So we're going to start again with endomorphic characteristics and tendencies. So endomorphs are the naturally round, fatter types. Endomorphs have a tendency for weight gain and slower weight loss. They often struggle with cycles of weight loss and regain throughout their lives, or maybe you've heard of yo-yo dieting. It is a lot more common to find an endomorph that goes through a lot of yo-yo dieting phases, and they just can't seem to keep the weight off when they've finished a dieting cycle. So some of these characteristics for an endomorph include having naturally high levels of body fat, so they're often overweight. They are usually big boned and large jointed. They usually have short, tapering arms and legs. They have soft, round body contours, so maybe they're round or apple shaped. I recently put out a resource to you guys that talked about how to take different body measuring or how to measure your body from different areas. And I typed a little bit about trying to figure out whether you're apple-shaped or pear-shaped and the different just health problems that can come with either of those shapes. So go take a look at that resource if you haven't yet, and you'll see what I'm talking about. What else? They usually have a wide waist and hips. Usually your waist will dominate over your chest. They usually describe themselves as having a slow metabolism. They have a moderate or poor carb tolerance. They respond better with high protein and low or moderate carb nutrition lifestyles or diets. They tend to partition excess calories into fat, so you really can't get away with too much overeating. They have difficulty losing weight, or it requires a lot more effort. They tend to gain fat easily when exercise is stopped. They tend to lose fat slowly, even on a reduced calorie diet. They respond best to longer, more frequent cardio sessions. You find it challenging to keep fat off after it is lost. Fall asleep easily and sleep deeply. Tend to be sluggish and tired and lack energy. And have low activity and NEAT levels. We'll talk about what NEAT is in another training, but write it down anyway, and that way we can remember to go back and cover it, but that's for another time. So endomorphic training, nutrition, and lifestyle strategies. So when it comes to fat loss, a well-planned strategic approach is more important for the endomorph than any other body type. So your body will be a little bit more unforgiving than others, so it's going to require a more strict compliance to your meal plan and to tracking calorie and macronutrient goals. So most endomorphs respond well to reducing carbs, like I mentioned before. And the endomorph strategy generally calls for high levels of activity, including an active lifestyle with weight training and cardio, so resistance training, in addition to some high intensity interval training, not necessarily steady state cardio all the time. And you've got to be disciplined. So your community is going to be just super, super important with this, whether it's this Facebook group or whether it's your significant other or whether it is, a family member or a friend, somebody that's on the same type of nutrition or training plan as you. Accountability is huge for staying on track with any nutrition or training plan. So reducing carbohydrates. Again, endomorphs often have varying degrees of carb intolerance. So high carb, low fat diets are usually not ideal for an endomorph. Your nutrition strategy is going to lean toward more protein, healthy fats, and fibrous carbs with natural starches and whole grains eaten in moderation. So I think carbs can be included successfully if they're cycled and strategically used around your training times, but you may be better off with a higher fat, higher protein diet, or probably a higher protein, moderate fat, low carb diet. And I know I've talked to you all probably individually about what to have pre and post workout. And unless you're on something like a ketogenic diet, really you do want to center a good carbohydrate source, probably around 30 to 40 grams of carbohydrates, about 1 hour, maybe 90 minutes before your workout. And some people like to even break it up to having maybe a full meal, maybe 2 hours before, and then maybe a quick snack, like 30 minutes before a workout. So you want to focus carbs to fuel your workout and then protein sources post-workout. Let's see, keeping cheat meals, or I don't even like to use cheat meal as that term, but an untracked meal. Somebody who has an endomorphic style is going to have less of those, especially if you really have a specific goal in mind that you want to reach, whereas maybe someone who is an ectomorph or a mesomorph can have 1 to 2 to 3 untracked meals per week, or if they've been doing their nutrition and training program for a couple of years, it's a little bit easier to incorporate more untracked meals in there. An endomorph really has to monitor those a lot more closely, or just have a lot less error for their tracking within those quote-unquote untracked meals, or untracked days or calorie days, or however it is that your plan is specifically set up. So what else? So the next thing is increased cardio duration or intensity. So yes, we kind of all know that society wants us to eat less and do more cardio, and I don't necessarily agree with that. However, if you are an endomorph, then it would be important to look at the training program as far as trying to work on increasing your cardio, maybe increasing a high intensity interval session, adding 1 to 2 extra sessions in per week. And I think you do have to slowly progress into those, just like anybody with any body type would when they're trying to get into a training program. But in general, higher cardio for an endomorph is what is going to help the particular body type. Now, this goes for training frequency in addition to cardio sessions as well. So resistance training sessions, if an ectomorph can get away with doing 2 sessions a week, maybe an endomorph needs to do 4 to 5 sessions a week. It's just the way it is, and everybody is different. So let's see. The next point, and I want to just caveat this here and say, thank you, Katie, for the recommendation on this book, Burn the Fat, Feed the Muscle. A lot of this information I'm going through is from this book. So if you have this book, or if you don't have this book, I highly recommend you get this book so that you can follow along with this training. I have gotten a lot of this information from other places as well, but it's a really good guideline that keeps things very simple to go through, even for someone who hasn't had a ton of training in fitness and nutrition in this lifestyle. So it's a good way to just keep on top of all this. So the next point they talk about is using metabolism stimulating resistance exercises. So we just talked about resistance training. What do they mean by metabolism stimulating resistance exercises? So what they're talking about here is large muscle, full body, and lower body exercises. So they're talking about exercises that are really going to get your heart rate up, which essentially here is going to be compound movements. So compound movements, and we've talked about this previously too, are movements that are working more than one muscle group at a time. So something like a squat or a deadlift or lunges. So most lower body exercises, unless it's a machine, they're probably going to be a compound movement. Now, rows, presses, pull-ups, these are also upper body compound movements that are working, you're bending at multiple joints, you're moving multiple muscle groups at a time. Obviously, if you're working 2 to 3 muscle groups versus working 1 muscle group, you are getting more benefit out of that movement. So when you are short for time, you should focus on compound movements, but those are going to give you they're going to stimulate your metabolism more because you're working more of your body at one time. Exercises like yoga, Pilates, and Tai Chi, they have a lot of great benefits to include things like flexibility and stress reduction, but they are not an ideal way to maximize fat loss. So absolutely, if you enjoy these, please include them with your working out, but I wouldn't replace them. I wouldn't replace a workout with that. I would only use it to supplement or add to what you're already doing. The next point is to adopt a more active lifestyle. So again, this is already what we've been talking about. It is you've got to be up and moving more often if you are an endomorph body type. Avoid oversleeping, so that goes hand in hand with adopting a more active lifestyle. It's getting out of bed when your alarm goes off, not having 3 different alarms to set, going to bed at the right time. That way, you're not going to bed too late and then having to oversleep. So it's getting yourself on a schedule. Watching less TV, specifically at night. If you're in bed watching TV, you're going to have a really hard time going to sleep most of the time. This is not for everybody, but most of the time, because you're training your mind to say, oh, I need to engage with something when I'm in bed, when really, when you're in bed, you should be either having sex or sleeping, and that's it. That is it. So watch less TV. And always be on the lookout for something to motivate and inspire you, because if you don't have a goal, if you don't have something exciting to look forward to, then really what's the point? So make sure that you understand what your goals are and why you're trying to, have this athletic mindset and get in the gym and be this the most healthy version of you. Let's see. Then they talk about being consistent and being patient and making a lifetime commitment to exercise. All these go hand in hand. I'm not going to read all these lines to you guys. You can get the book if you want to get more in depth with that. But This is a long-term lifestyle. This is a long-term commitment. This is not, let me do this for 12 weeks and that's good, I'll be good to go. It's just I'm gonna coast after that. No, there's no such thing as coasting. If you want to maintain where you're at, that means constant pushing of yourself. That means you cannot lift a 45-pound barbell for the rest of your life and think that that is going to be enough. It means when you have lifted a 45-pound barbell for 4 sets of 12 squats for a month and it's too easy, it means you got to add some weight. So consistency, getting in the gym, sticking to your plan, finding a plan that you enjoy so that you can be consistent with it, and being patient. Like endomorphs just lose fat more slowly than other body types. So you just have to recognize that patience is a virtue that most of us just are not born with. And you just have to recognize it's going to take a little bit longer if this is your body type than it might for somebody else. So that is about it for endomorph. So now we're going to transfer, I don't know, we're just going to move on to the ectomorph characteristics and tendencies. So I think ectomorphs are usually those people that the rest of us hate because we see them and we see how much they eat, and we see what they eat, and we're just like, why can they eat all of these donuts and like the rest of us just can't? And you know, they can eat steak every night of the week and like they just never gain any weight. So they're just naturally lean and skinny types. But you know what? They honestly have just as much trouble in a different direction than an endomorph has. And as much as the endomorphs want to feel like the ectomorphs, or that they feel like they don't, like an ectomorph doesn't have any problems with, you know, food and nutrition and weightlifting, an ectomorph has just as many problems in just the opposite way. They're always just struggling to get in enough food. They hate having to eat as much as they have to eat. They hate that if they stop lifting, they lose every little bit of muscle that they have, you know, worked so hard to gain. So they have just as many struggles in a different way than an endomorph. So here are some of the bullet points that cover an ectomorph. So generally they'll have long limbs and they're linear. They have small joints and are small boned. They have a small waist and narrow shoulders. They have angular projecting bones. They're naturally lean and they lose fat easily. They often call themselves hard gainers because it's hard for them to gain. They have low strength levels prior to starting a training program. They have a fast metabolism and burn up everything they eat. They have a good carbohydrate tolerance. They have high energy levels, tend to be overactive and restless, sometimes suffer from insomnia, have high levels of NEAT, sometimes find it hard to maintain weight, find it extremely hard to gain weight, and respond best to low volume, brief, infrequent, heavy weight training sessions. So a common complaint that ectomorphs have is that they've always been too skinny, no matter what they eat. I can never gain weight is, you know, a common complaint. And so although ectomorphs rarely develop the muscle size of mesomorphs, with hard work and persistence, again, that consistency factor, it is absolutely possible to build impressive physiques with the advantage of staying lean without much effort. But again, if they go on vacation for a month and they don't lift the whole time they're on vacation, they're going to lose a whole lot of their gains that they worked really hard to get. So it is a struggle, especially if they just drop their calories, and it's hard for them, I know. So here's some guidelines that will help an ectomorph body type to maintain the hard work that they put in. So slow down and reduce stress. Many ectomorphs are thin, and they're hyperactive with fast metabolisms, and they've got to slow their pace of life down a little bit. So, and that's a lot of us, I think, no matter what body style we are, this is a fast-paced society, and if we don't have something in our every waking moment, then, we're just not doing enough with life. So that is something I think all of us can probably focus on no matter what body type we have. Focus on weight training, but avoid overtraining. So again, ectomorphs respond best to brief, heavy, basic weight training programs. So too many times per week it might be counterproductive. So you need to get in and get out of the gym, maybe do some high intensity interval training, get in a bunch of compound supersets, back-to-back sets, and be done. And don't think that you have to spend 2 hours a day in the gym. For you, maybe 30 to 45 minutes is enough. Keep cardio to a minimum. So it's a big challenge for the ectomorph who is gaining or even maintaining lean body weight if they love cardio. And again, that is what society has just pushed in our brains, that to be, the ideal figure is we got to do more cardio and eat less. And for an ectomorph, that is absolutely opposite of what you want to do. So yeah, not too much cardio. You don't have to avoid it, especially if you feel that cardio is something that de-stresses you, but don't go crazy. I'd say it's probably more important for an ectomorph to focus on low intensity, steady state cardio versus that high intensity interval training. That way you can maybe get in your time, watch your YouTube videos, de-stress while you're doing the cardio, but it's not a lot of output for energy. Keep the calories high and never miss meals. Unfortunately, or fortunately, ectomorphs need a lot of calories, and to gain muscle, you have to hit your protein goal, which again, for most of you is going to be somewhere between 0.8 and 1.1 grams per pound of body weight. Now again, for somebody on a ketogenic diet, that is going to be very different because they have a high fat, moderate protein, low carb diet. So it just depends on what lifestyle you are doing, but for the most part, high protein is going to help ectomorphs keep the muscle that they have built. Carbs. Eat your carbs. So not just calories, not just protein, but your carbs are going to be your main fuel source if you're not on a ketogenic diet for your workouts. So you absolutely don't need to, unless there's a medical reason, restrict carbs. Like your starchy carbs are good, your fibrous carbs are good, your fruit type carbs, they're good. They're all good for you. Probably sitting around and eating bags of Sour Patch Kids and Skittles and Twix bars, while fun every once in a while, like on Halloween, that's not going to benefit you with the vitamins and nutrients that things like oatmeal and rice and vegetables and fruits are going to do. But overall, eat your carbs. Now, pay attention to your food quality is the next topic, not just the next bullet point. And again, I think I already touched on this. I got a little ahead of myself. So to build up that muscle and to keep it, you just can't be eating junk food all day long. And so your macronutrients, while they are more important than your micronutrients, you will see more positive body composition when you have nutrient-dense foods. It's just the way it is. But that's why we all like flexible dieting, right? Because every once in a while, we want a gosh darn donut. And every once in a while, it's nice to have a piece of cake. It's nice to have some real ice cream, even though we love Halo Top or Enlightened ice cream. It is just nice to indulge in some of those higher fat, higher carb, lower micronutrient type foods. So that is it for ectomorphs, and now we're going to move into the mesomorph category. So mesomorphs are the AKA genetic freaks. They are the bodybuilders we see in the gym, the naturally muscular and lean toned hard bodies. And a lot of these folks had muscle before they even started working out. So these are people like Mr. and Mrs. Olympia. They're the ones that everyone says, oh, they're just naturally gifted. Okay. Yes, genetics does play a part, but don't get me wrong, bodybuilders have to work really hard too. Like, you cannot just show up and assume that you're going to win a show. You can't just take steroids. Not that I've ever tried, but I do. It's just around the bodybuilding community a lot. There's no way you can just simply take the steroids and not have to put in a lot of hard work to build a award-winning physique, or to get to a place where you are happy with your physique, or to build a beautiful hard-bodied, muscle body. It just doesn't work that way. So some of the characteristics of mesomorphs are: they have medium joint size, broad shoulders, have a larger chest and a smaller waist, They're naturally lean, they're naturally muscular, they're naturally strong, they have high energy levels, they have a great carbohydrate tolerance, they tend to partition surplus calories into muscle, they have a highly efficient or fast metabolism, they gain strength easily, they gain muscle easily, they lose body fat easily, they respond quickly to almost any type of training, and are natural-born strength and power athletes. So there's not a ton to talk about with these because it is, you know, in many people's minds, I think, the ideal body type. But you know what? Not everybody wants this body type. A lot of people are very happy, and they should be with the body type that they have. And I mean, honestly, you should be, because there's just nothing that you can do to change the genetics that you have. But genetics play such a small part when it comes to hard work. Like if a mesomorph doesn't take care of their body and treat it with the proper nutrition intake that it needs to thrive and get in the gym and do the hard work consistently day after day, then they can have an unhealthy looking body as well. It just doesn't, you can't just coast on the genetics. It really comes down to consistency and hard work. And you know, it's the same with the junk food. It's just because you have a good metabolism doesn't mean that you can keep your naturally good metabolism if you don't feed your body the proper types of nutrition and food. It doesn't mean that you cannot gain weight. It doesn't mean that you can't become overweight. It doesn't mean that you can't become underweight. It just means that when you do put forth the proper training and the proper nutrition according to your own goals, that you will be able to more easily achieve the body type that you're looking for, and you'll be more able to achieve that more muscular bodybuilder type physique that many people do strive to achieve. So that really covers the three main body types. So your mesomorphs, your ectomorphs, and your endomorphs. So now that you guys have heard a lot of information, I think, on these three different somatotypes, I want you to take a moment and look through your notes from what you wrote down initially, and then compare that to what you are aware of now after all my talking, and see if anything is different. See if anything has changed in your understanding of what body type you have, or what combination body type you have. I'll give y'all about a minute here to pause the video and figure that out. All right, well, welcome back. So now that you all have taken a few moments here to write down what your genetic body type is and kind of what you're predispositioned for, we'll just go over some factors that you can control in your own resistance training and cardio nutrition programs. And then we'll wrap it up for the evening. So factors that you can control. You control how much you eat. That's number one. Number two, you control what you eat. Number three, you control when you eat. Number four, you control what type of exercise you do. Number five, you control how frequently you exercise. Number six, you control how long you exercise. Number seven, you control how hard you exercise. Number eight, you control your overall lifestyle. Number nine, you control who you socialize with and allow to influence you. And number 10, you control your mental attitude. So those are some really good points right there. You control just about everything that is going to transform you in one way or another. And the truth is, if you're unhealthy, you're unfit, or you have too much body fat on you for your own personal preference, you're responsible. And I know that certain different circumstances, they don't make you. They reveal you. And that's kind of where I'm going to leave it today, y'all. I know there's a lot of information, and I know you're all part of this group because you are striving to make a difference and you are striving to learn, and nothing is going to get in your way because you're here. And if things were going to get in your way, you wouldn't be here. And I know that even if, I wasn't here, or if my program wasn't available, you would find another program that was going to push you to move forward and to surround you with the right kind of community, the right kind of people, and to give you that inspiration and that motivation that is a little bit more external that you might not just have on your own. And trust me, we all need it. Like, thank goodness. Thank goodness for my fiance, because there are some days where I just don't want to get up and go to the gym, or I just want to eat over my macros, especially when I'm dieting for a show. And that's where the significant others come in. They say, you know what? You said that you were going to do this. I'm going to hold you accountable. So hopefully that wasn't too much of a tangent. Anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. Hopefully this was really interesting for you. Hopefully you learned something. Comment in the Facebook group after this audio is complete and let me know what was most valuable for you. What did you learn from today's training? Because I want to know how this has best helped you so that I can then know how to move forward with training so that I can continue to help you guys. And then let me know if there was anything confusing, anything you would like me to touch on further, go more in depth with. I'm super happy to do that. And yeah, I'm just super happy to do that for you guys because this is what I love. And the more that I teach this to you all, the better I understand it myself as well. And it's just kind of a chain reaction. The more you guys learn, the more you can then help other people in your own communities. So it's like a win-win for everybody, right? Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and conclude this training. It's kind of weird concluding an audio training when there's nobody else on the line. So I'm like, am I done? Do I just click off? Anyway, I guess it's time for dinner. So I'm going to go eat because nutrition is life, right? All right, y'all have a wonderful evening. I will talk to you soon. And that's about it. Y'all have a good night.
Be empowered to make a change in your life and take the next step on your health and fitness journey.